to the channel. Have you ever wondered why a healthy cell suddenly stops functioning or even dies? What happens inside our body during a heart attack, stroke, or when we are exposed to toxins? It all begins with cell injury. The cell injury is one of the most fundamental concepts in pathophysiology because almost every disease starts with the damage to cells. Understanding how cells respond to stress and injury makes it much easier to understand the development of different diseases. So, in this video, we are going to learn what is cell injury and what are the causes and how do the cells adapt to stress and the different types of cell injury like irreversible or reversible cell injury and how does cell injury eventually lead to cell death. So, let's get started. So before starting cell injury, we need to know what is cell. Cell from the small ages we have studied that cell is the basic structural and functional unit of life. Under normal conditions, every cell maintains a stable internal environment that we can call homeostasis. So when a cell is exposed to stress or harmful stimuli, it first tries to adapt. If the stress is mild, then what will happen? The cell recovers. But if the stress is severe or prolonged, you can say that chronic stimuli, then what will happen? The cell gets injured. So the definition we can say like this: the cell injury is the structural and the functional damage that occurs when the harmful stimuli exceed the cell's ability to adapt. Prolonged stimuli, which is actually leading to cell injury. And what are the causes? The first one is hypoxia. Hypoxia means you can say like it is insufficient supply of oxygen for the energy. Like your cells need energy and ATP, right? For that, the blood has to supply enough oxygen into the cells or the tissues. So if the insufficiently the oxygen is delivering, that condition you can say hypoxia. So the hypoxia is the insufficient supply of oxygen. And one more is there, that is ischemia. You need to remember, ischemia is the insufficient supply of blood into that area. Next, physical traumas. The physical traumas, you can say like burns, radiation, or extreme temperature. So these are the example for the physical trauma, which is leading to cell injury. And chemical exposures like a poison, alcohol, or any toxic chemicals, pesticide. These are the example for the chemical exposures. So which leading to cell injury. And infections, so the infection that also you can say like any infection. For example, you are having bacterial infection or a parasitic, viral, or any fungal infection. So those are the infectious agents that could lead to cell injury. And genetic abnormalities, like if you are having any genetical protein like abnormal protein deficiency or any enzyme deficiency which lead to cell injury. And aging also one of the reason. And immunological reactions, so it's like autoimmune diseases or allergies. And even many nutritional imbalance also leading to cell injury. Cell injury divided into two types, or you can say there are two types of cell injury depending on the severity and the duration of the insult. That means the stimuli, the cell injury divided into two types, that is reversible cell injury and irreversible cell injury. Reversible cell injury means the condition here it is mild and temporary. For example, you were just walking and suddenly you got hit somewhere else. Like just it's a mild injury. So what will happen after some time or after few weeks you will recover, right? The same thing here in the reversible cell injury. The stimuli is not serious, it's for a short time and it is mild, so it will recover after the stimulus is recovered. I mean, like if the inflammatory mediator is removed from the particular site, the cell recovers. So for example, cellular swelling, fatty change, and alterations in membrane integrity, even reduced ATP in the cells, or membrane blebs, swollen mitochondria. So once the injury is gone, the cell will be recovered. I hope the cell injury, that reversible cell injury is clear, right? The second one is irreversible cell injury. So, what is irreversible cell injury? Irreversible cell injury means here the condition is severe injury and it's for prolonged time. So, you have been seen scars in your body, right? Those are the permanent marks. So, permanent scars are the example for the irreversible cell injury. So, if you are having the stimuli that cause for the long time, then what will happen? It will lead to permanent damage of your cell and it is leading to cell death. So it can occur through mainly two pathways. One is necrosis and the second one is apoptosis. So, what is necrosis? Necrosis means it is unprogrammed cell death or uncontrolled cell death. For example, you're working in a lab and suddenly sulfuric acid or any acid fell on your body. Or so of course you will get burned, right? So next what will happen? That particular area cells will turns to black color. That means you are getting the burn and the cells in that area is die or cell death happened. So that is necrosis. And or else if you are having any infection and the cells started dying, so that also necrosis. So necrosis will be always pathological and cell membrane get rupture, and once it rupture, if there is no cell membrane involved will happen, all the cell contents, that means your cell organelles leaks out. And next what will happen? There will be inflammation. You are able to feel the pain, right? So there will be cell swelling, membrane rupture and inflammation in the case of necrosis. The necrosis is not a programmed cell death. Unexpectedly any of the external stimuli lead to cell death. That is necrosis. So the second pathway is the apoptosis. What is apoptosis? Apoptosis is a programmed or regulated and energy dependent process of cell death, and which unwanted or damaged cells are removed without causing any inflammation. There will be no inflammation in your body. Normally your cells itself started releasing some apoptotic factors, and which is leading to cell death, and it is programmed cell death. And it is, you can say like it is a planned cell death, like there is no external stimuli, and once the lifespan is completed your cell itself kills the cells. So that is apoptosis. So why does apoptosis occurs? And there are two types of mechanisms are there, or the pathways are there: extrinsic pathway and intrinsic pathway. So that I will discuss in another lecture. So why does apoptosis occurs? So to removal of old cells, the apoptosis the cell needs, or elimination of the damaged cells with the DNA mutation, or embryonic development to separation of the fingers and toes, maintenance of tissue homeostasis. So in such condition, of course there should be apoptosis process, and it all begins with the shrinkage of the cell. Once the cells start to shrink, chromatin will condense itself inside. Then what will happen? There will be DNA fragments and cell membrane remains intact, and formation of apoptotic bodies from the mitochondria. Apoptotic bodies are engulfed by macrophages. So and in the case of apoptosis, there will be no inflammation, and in the case of necrosis, there are inflammations. There are inflammatory mediators also. In the case of apoptosis, there will be no inflammation. It is a normal cell death. From this diagram, I will explain you reversible cell injury and irreversible cell injury. Just imagine your mobile phone battery becomes low. Then what will happen? You will put that phone in charging, right? So it is actually like reversible cell injury. You can reuse it again. And in the case of irreversible cell injury, your phone just falls into the water, and then the motherboard is destroyed. So now what will happen? You can't recover it, right? So this is like a irreversible cell injury. So the reversible cell injury means it will be come back, and in the case of irreversible cell injury, we got I mean like we lost it for completely. So like Imagine you accidentally twist your ankle. So it becomes swollen and painful. And but after some time or after few days, when you take rest, it heals completely. So that is reversible cell injury. Now you just imagine a severe burn that destroys the skin. Even if the heat source is removed, those cells cannot recover. They actually die. So that is irreversible cell injury. So what is the difference here? Reversible cell injury means the damage is temporary. If the harmful stimulus such as lack of oxygen, toxins or infection is removed in time, the cell returns to its normal state. And now we'll talk about the irreversible cell injury. When the injury is severe or lasts too long, the cell reaches a point of no return. So the plasma membrane breaks, mitochondria stop functioning permanently, and the calcium enters the cell and the nucleus will be destroyed. So this is the difference between irreversible and the reversible. You can remember like this, the reversible is recoverable and in the case of irreversible, irrecoverable. So I hope this made the concept easy and understand. So if you found this video useful, please do subscribe.